Hello friends, welcome to our RV YouTube channel. In this session 16 of electric drives and control, we are going to discuss about three-phase semi-converter or three-phase half-controlled converter fed separately excited DC motor drive. So now let us discuss about the circuit diagram. Here three-phase AC supply is given to this circuit. So the line voltage A, B and C. So here this line A is connected to thyristor T1 in the upper leg, and the same line A is connected to the diode D1 of the lower leg, and the line B is connected to the thyristor T2 in the upper leg and diode D2 in the lower leg, and the line C is connected to the thyristor T3 in the upper leg and diode D3 in the lower leg. So this forms our three-phase semi-converter or half-controlled converter. So this rectifier, that means this three-phase semi-converter, converts three-phase AC voltage into a line voltage, DC voltage with a magnitude of the value of VA, and this IA represents the armature current. This DC power is fed to a DC motor here, which is connected across this semi-converter. Here RA represents the armature resistance, LA represents the armature inductance, and here this is motor, and this A and AA represents the armature terminals, and here this motor has a back EM of E, and the output voltage of the armature voltage across the armature terminals of the motor is VA. So this is about our circuit diagram. Now let us move on to the operation of this three-phase semi-converter through this waveforms. So first let us consider the line voltage VAB here. Okay, the line voltage VAB, which I am marking in black color, the line voltage VAB. So for this, let us consider the circuit 7. I want to give a small information about the identification of the devices. So please refer to the circuit 7 of the left hand side. See, I am marking here. Please refer to the circuit 7. So in this circuit 7, the line voltage which is given is VAB, right? See here, the line voltage which we are feeding is what? VAB. So in this, the first letter A is connected, I mean the line A. The line A is connected to the thyristor T1. Can you see here? The line A is connected to the thyristor T1 and the line B is connected to the diode D2. Okay, the line B is connected to the diode D2. That means the first letter in this VAB, the first letter is representing the thyristor and the second letter is representing the diode. Okay, if we are writing VAB means out of that the first letter represents the thyristor and the second letter represents the diode. So with this base information, let us move on to the operation of this particular circuit configuration. So first let us consider the forward biasings of the diodes. Okay, let us forward bias the diodes and let us find out the angles at which the diodes are getting forward biased. And fundamentally the diodes will get forward biased as soon as the voltage is the angle at which the voltage is more positive. Okay, like in thyristors there is no firing angle because in diodes there is no gate terminal, so there is no problem of firing angle. But whereas in thyristors it has gate terminal, so we have to use some firing pulse. So the thyristors will get triggered at the firing angle only, but whereas the diodes will forward bias the angle at which the voltage becomes more positive. Okay, so first let me write here, diodes will forward bias at an angle the voltage becomes more positive. Okay, diodes will forward bias at an angle where the voltage becomes more positive. There is no need for waiting for firing angle. Okay, so Now let us forward bias the diodes. Now let us forward bias the diodes. So first let us consider the line voltage VCB here. Okay, first let us consider the line voltage VCB. So as we already discussed, the second letter represents the diode. So B, right here the second letter is B. In VCB the second letter is B. So the B is connected to which diode? Please refer to the circuit in the left hand side. The B is connected to the diode D2, right? In circuit diagram you can see that the B is connected to the diode D2. So diode D2 will forward bias for this line voltage VCB. So now we have to find the angle at which the VCB becomes more positive. See, at 0 degrees. Say marking in black color here. At 0 degrees, if you watch, the line voltage VCB becomes more positive. Therefore, at 0 degrees, the diode D2 will get forward bias. So here let us mark the diodes at which the angle it becomes forward biased. Okay. So in this first horizontal column, I will mark the diodes forward biasing points. Okay. So at an angle of 0 degree, okay, the diode D2 will forward bias. And now let us consider the line voltage VAC. Okay, now let us consider the line voltage VAC. In this line voltage VAC, the second letter is C. So that means in main circuit, please refer to the main circuit. The C is connected to the diode D3, right? The C is connected to the diode D3. Therefore, for the line voltage of VAC, the diode D3 will comes into the conduction. That means now we have to check at which angle the line voltage VAC becomes more positive. See here at an angle of 120 degrees, right? At an angle of 120 degrees, the line voltage VAC is becoming more positive. So at 120 degrees, the diode D3 will forward bias. Okay, the diode D3 will forward bias. Now next let us consider the line voltage VBA. Okay, now let us consider the line voltage VBA. So here the second letter is A. So now let us refer to the main circuit. So the A is connected to the diode D1 in the lower leg, right? In the main circuit you can see that the line A is connected to the diode D1 in the lower leg. That means diode D1 will get forward biased for the line voltage VBA. So now let us check the VBA at which angle it becomes more positive. So if you look at this at an angle of 240 degrees, okay, at an angle of 240 degrees, the line voltage VBA becomes more positive. Therefore, at an angle of 240 degrees, the diode D1 gets forward biased. Okay. Again, now let us consider the line voltage VCB. Okay, the line voltage VCB. So the second letter is B. B means diode D2 will comes into the conduction, right? So the VCB is more positive at 360 degrees, right? The VCB is more positive at 360 degrees, right? So at an angle of 360 degrees, the diode D2 will comes into the conduction. Okay, the diode D2 will comes into the conduction at an angle of 360 degrees. Again, now let us consider the line voltage VAC. Okay, the line voltage VAC. So here the second letter is C. C means the diode D3 will forward bias. So this line voltage VAC becomes more positive at 480 degrees, right? See here, the line voltage VAC becomes more positive at 480 degrees. That means at 480 degrees, the diode D3 will get forward biased. Okay, so this is how the diodes will get forward biased. Now let us trigger the thyristors. Okay, first let us consider the line voltage VAB. See, for this let me mark in red color. Okay, so first let us consider the line voltage VAB. Okay, so in this line voltage VAB, the first letter is A. Okay, that means here A is connected to the thyristor T1. See, in your main circuit, if you refer, the line A is connected to the thyristor T1. Okay, so here the line voltage VAB becomes more positive at 60 degrees, right? See, I am marking here in red color. Okay, So at an angle of 60 degrees, the line voltage VAB becomes more positive. And now let us consider the firing angle alpha. Okay, the firing angle alpha is equal to 90 degrees. Okay, let us consider the firing angle alpha is equal to 90 degrees. So at an angle of 60 degrees, the line voltage becomes VAB becomes more positive. So from 60 degrees, we have to leave 90 degrees of firing angle. That means 60 plus 90 will become 150 degrees. So at an angle of 150 degrees, okay, at an angle of 150 degrees, the thyristor T1 will comes into the conduction. Okay, the thyristor T1 will comes into the conduction. Okay, now let us consider the line voltage VBC. Okay, now let us consider the line voltage VBC. So VBC means the first letter is B. Here B is connected to the thyristor T2. Okay, B is connected to the thyristor T2, and this VBC is becoming more positive at an angle of 180 degrees. See here, I am marking in the red color. So VBC is becoming more positive at 180 degrees. From here we have to leave 90 degrees of firing angle. So 180 plus 90 becomes 270. So at an angle of 270 degrees, see here at an angle of 270 degrees, the thyristor T2 comes into the conduction. Okay. At an angle of 270 degrees, the thyristor T2 comes into the conduction. Now let us consider the line voltage VCA. Now let us consider the line voltage VCA. So in this, the first letter is C. C means thyristor T3. See here in the main circuit, the line C is connected to the thyristor T3. That means thyristor T3 will come into the conduction for the line voltage VCA. Now the line voltage VCA is more positive at an angle of 300 degrees. See here, I am marking in the red color at an angle of 300 degrees. So the line voltage VCA is becoming more positive at 300 degrees. So from here we have to leave 90 degrees of firing angle. So 300 plus 90 becomes 390 degrees. So at an angle of 390 degrees, the thyristor T3 will come into the conduction. Okay. So at an angle of 390 degrees, the thyristor T3 will come into the conduction. And now let us consider the line voltage VAB. Okay, now let us consider the line voltage VAB. So in this, the first letter is A. So A is connected to the thyristor T1. Okay. So here this VAB becomes more positive at an angle of 420 degrees, right? See here at an angle of 420 degrees. So 420, from here we have to leave the firing angle of 90 degrees. So 420 plus 90 becomes 510. So at an angle of 510 degrees, the thyristor T1 will trigger. Okay. So at an angle of 510 degrees, the thyristor T1 will trigger. Now we have triggered the thyristors and we have forward biased the diodes also. Now let us find out the common points of this conduction of devices. I mean the pair of devices. So here, if you look at here, I'll mark in something like blue color. Okay, I'll write in the blue color the conducting devices, pair of devices. So if you look at this, from 150 degrees to 240 degrees, thyristor T1 and diode D3 is conducting, right? Right? From 150 degrees to 240 degrees, the thyristor T1 and diode D3 is conducting. Similarly, from 240 degrees to 270 degrees, if you look at that, thyristor T1 and D1 is conducting. Right? From 240 degrees to 270 degrees, thyristor T1 and diode D1 is conducting. And from 270 degrees to 360 degrees, if you look at this, thyristor T2 and diode D1 is conducting, right? And again from 360 degrees to 390 degrees, thyristor T2 and D2 is conducting. Okay, and again from 390 degrees to 480 degrees, if you watch at this, the thyristor T3 and diode D2 is conducting. Okay, and from 480 degrees to 510 degrees, thyristor T3 and diode D3 are conducting. Okay, so these are the angles at which both the diodes, both the switches, I mean thyristor and diodes are conducting. So now based on this pair of devices conduction, let us mark the output voltage. Okay, let us mark the output voltage. So If you look at this, from 150 degrees to 240 degrees, the thyristor T1 and diode D3 is conducting. So what will be the output voltage? So for this, please refer circuit 1. Please refer circuit 1 here at the leftmost end, which I am marking in the blue color. So for this, what happens is the armature current IA starts flowing from the line A and enters into the thyristor T1 and the motor and diode D3 and ends at the line C. So if you apply KVL to this loop, we will get VA is equal to VAC. That means the output voltage across the armature terminals will be the input voltage VAC. So here the VAC, let me mark in the black color in input line voltage. So from 150 degrees to 240 degrees, right? So this is our VAC, right? So from 150 degrees to 240 degrees. So up to here. Okay. So we have to follow just this trace. So this will be our output voltage. Okay. So let us mark that in our output voltage waveform. Okay. In our blue color. So from 150 degrees to 240 degrees. This is something like that only, right? From here. So this is VAC, right? VA is equal to VAC, right? In our circuit 1, we have obtained by applying KVL that VA is equal to VAC. Therefore, the output voltage is VA is equal to VAC, where thyristor T1 and diode D3 are conducting. Okay. And from 240 degrees to 270 degrees. Okay. From 240 degrees to 270 degrees, T1 and D1, thyristor T1 and diode D1 are conducting. So for this, please refer the circuit 2. Please refer the circuit 2. So here what happens is the current from the motor will flow through the diode D1 and T1 and again to the motor. So if you observe at this circuit clearly, there is a short circuit. So under short circuit, the voltage will be 0. So our output voltage VA is equal to 0. That means from 240 degrees to 270 degrees, the output voltage is 0. Okay, where the thyristor T1 and diode D1 is conducting. And from 270 degrees to 360 degrees. Okay, from 270 degrees to 360 degrees, the thyristor T2 and diode D1 are conducting. So for this, please refer the circuit 3. Please refer the circuit 3. What happens is here, the armature current IA starts flowing from the terminal B through the thyristor T2 and the motor and the diode D1 and ends at the line A. So if you apply KVL to this loop, we will get our armature output voltage as VBA. That means our output voltage is VBA. So from 270 degrees to 360 degrees, let me mark in black color in the input line voltage so that we can trace in the output curve. So from 270 degrees to 360 degrees, our output voltage which we obtained after applying KVL as VBA, right? So just we have to follow the VBA. So from 270, here is 270, right? So from 270 degrees to 360 degrees. So this is our trace. So just we have to follow this trace as our output. So let us draw this separately in our output in red color. Okay. So from 270 degrees to 360 degrees. Okay. So this is the shape which we have obtained from the input. So this is nothing but the output voltage VBA, where the thyristor T2 and the diode D1 are conducting. Okay. Now from 360 degrees to 390 degrees, here thyristor T2 and diode D2 are conducting, right? So for this, please refer the circuit 4. Please refer the circuit 4. Here the armature current from the motor flows into the diode D2 and T2 and again to the motor. Therefore here, if you observe at this circuit, there is a short. So under short circuit condition, we have the output voltage VA is equal to 0, right? So from 360 degrees to 390 degrees, there is no output voltage. That means output voltage is 0. Here the thyristor T2 and the diode D2 are conducting. Okay. Now let us move on to the angle from 390 degrees to 480 degrees. So here the thyristor T3 and D2 are conducting. Okay. So for this, please refer the circuit 5. Please refer the circuit 5. Here the current, armature current starts flowing from the terminal C and it enters into the thyristor T3 and motor and diode D2 and leaves through the terminal B. So if you apply KVL for this loop, we will get VA is equal to VCB. That means our output voltage across the motor armature terminals is the input line voltage VCB. So just we have to follow the VCB trace from 390 degrees to 480 degrees. So let me mark in the input line voltage in black color. So from 390 degrees to 480 degrees, see here I am marking here. So from 390 degrees to 480 degrees, the yellow color line, right? So in which I am marking as a black color. So this will be our output voltage. Okay. So let us draw this in separately in our output voltage in yellow color. Okay, in yellow color. So from 390 degrees to 480 degrees. So this is our output voltage, which is VCB. So for this, the thyristor T3 and the diode D2 are conducting. So again from 480 degrees to 510 degrees. Okay, from 480 degrees to 510 degrees, the thyristor T3 and the diode D3 are conducting. So for this, please refer the circuit 6. Please refer the circuit 6. So here, the current from the motor is flowing through the diode D3 and T3 and again to the motor. So if you observe at this circuit, there is a short circuit is happening. So therefore, our output voltage will be 0 from 480 degrees to 510 degrees. So here, the thyristor T3 and diode D3 are conducting. Okay. So if you observe at this output voltage waveform from 240 degrees to 270 degrees, and again from 360 degrees to 390 degrees, and again from 480 degrees to 510 degrees, what happening is our output voltage is 0. This is because here the freewheeling action takes place. Okay. Due to this freewheeling, the negative reversal of the output voltage is avoided. Okay. Due to this freewheeling action, the negative reversal of the output voltage is 0. Sorry, the negative reversal of the output voltage is avoided, hence the output voltage is 0. Now let us mark the current flow. So from 150 degrees to 240 degrees, the current is flowing through the thyristor T1 and the diode D3. Okay. And again from 240 degrees from 240 degrees to 270 degrees, the current is flowing through the thyristor T1 and the diode D1, where the output voltage is 0. And again from 270 degrees from 270 degrees to 360 degrees, the current is flowing through the thyristor T2 and the diode D1. Okay. And again from the angle of 360 degrees to 390 degrees, the current is flowing through the thyristor T2 and the diode D2, and the output voltage is 0. And again from 390 degrees to 480 degrees, the current is flowing through the thyristor T3 and the diode D2. And again from 480 degrees to 510 degrees, the current is flowing through the thyristor T3 and diode D3, but the output voltage is 0. Okay. So here we have considered the continuous conduction mode. Okay. Continuous conduction mode means nowhere the current becomes 0. The current is continuously flowing through all the devices. So this is how the three-phase semi-converter operates. And now let us do the mathematical analysis of this. So here our output voltage VA is equal to, we have produced 3 pulses, right? See here, please observe at the output voltage waveform. Please observe at the output voltage waveform. Here is pulse 1, and here is pulse 2, and here is pulse 3. So we are able to produce 3 pulses out of 1 full cycle, right? So here, now let me take the VBA pulse. That means the second pulse for the calculation purpose. Okay, you can take any of the pulses, either first pulse or second pulse or 3 pulse, that doesn't matter. But I am taking the second pulse for my convenience. So the second pulse is VBA. So the second pulse starts at 270 degrees, right? See, if you observe at that VBA, second pulse starts at 270 degrees. That means the lower limit is 270 degrees. Okay. And the upper limit, that means which ends at 360 degrees. Can you look at that? Which ends at 360 degrees. Okay. That means the upper limit is 360 degrees. D of omega t. Okay. So now let us calculate the value of the average output voltage of the rectifier VA based on this. Now here VBA, okay, can be written as minus VAB. VBA can be written as minus VAB, which is equal to minus Vm sine omega t. Okay, minus Vm sine omega t. And this 270, okay, 270 can be written as pi plus alpha, right? Pi is nothing but 180 and we have considered the firing angle as 90 degrees. So 180 plus 90 becomes 270. And this 360 degrees can be written as 2 pi. So after substituting all this in the above expression, we will get VA is equal to 3 by 2 pi integration of, instead of 2 pi, instead of 270 we are going to substitute as pi plus alpha, and instead of 360 degrees we are going to substitute as 2 pi, and instead of VBA we are going to substitute minus VAB. That means minus Vm sine omega t d of omega t. Okay, minus Vm sine omega t d of omega t. Now VA is equal to minus 3, and taking Vm as constant outside, by 2 pi. Integration of sine omega t is nothing but minus cos omega t, and the lower limit is pi plus alpha and the upper limit is 2 pi. Okay, and the upper limit is 2 pi. So here VA is equal to minus 3 Vm by 2 pi minus cos, apply the upper limit 2 pi, and while applying the lower limit we have to add minus, and already there is one minus here, so minus to minus it becomes plus cos omega t. Instead of omega t you have to apply the lower limit is of pi plus alpha. So here it is of pi plus alpha. So VA is equal to minus 3 Vm by 2 pi. The value of cos 2 pi is 1. Okay, the value of cos 2 pi is 1. So what happens is here minus 1 plus, and again here cos of 180 plus theta is minus cos theta. Okay, the value of cos of 180 plus theta is minus cos theta. Therefore here it becomes minus cos alpha. Okay, minus cos alpha. That means VA is equal to, taking minus as constant term, we will get minus into minus 3 Vm by 2 pi. So we are taking minus as common term. Okay, so therefore 1 plus cos alpha. Okay, so what happens is, here VA is equal to minus to minus becomes plus, therefore 3 Vm by 2 pi into 1 plus cos alpha. Okay, so let this be equation 1. So for a DC motor, we know that VA is equal to E plus IA RA. Okay, let this be equation 2, and E is equal to K into omega m, and our IA is equal to T by K. So these are all DC motor equations. So substitute 1, 3 and 4 in 2. So what will you get? So instead of VA we have to substitute 3 Vm by 2 pi into 1 plus cos alpha. Okay, which is equal to E is nothing but K into omega m plus IA is nothing but T by K into RA. Therefore 3 Vm by 2 pi into 1 plus cos alpha. So bringing that T by K RA to the left hand side, it becomes minus T by K RA, which is equal to K into omega m. Here our main intention is to find the speed omega m. So please bring that K to the left hand side. So what happens is 3 Vm by 2 pi K into 1 plus cos alpha minus here T by K, and bringing that K here, K into K becomes K square into RA. So this is our speed torque relation of a DC motor drive when it is fed by a three-phase semi-converter. So based on this equation, now let us make the speed torque characteristics. Okay. So now here our main intention is to control the speed of a DC drive by means of using a three-phase semi-converter. So for that, if you look at this equation, if we change the firing angle, the speed will change. Okay. That means when we change the firing angle, what happens is the average output voltage of the rectifier changes. Okay, when the average output voltage of the rectifier changes, the armature voltage across the armature terminals of the motor changes. So when this armature voltage changes, obviously the speed changes. That means this is the armature voltage control technique. Okay, so if you increase the firing angle, average output voltage of the rectifier decreases. So when the average output voltage of the rectifier decreases, obviously the armature voltage of the motor also decreases, therefore speed decreases. So this is how the speed can be controlled. So based on this, let us make a speed torque characteristics. So here it is speed omega m and here it is torque. So here this is a typical speed torque characteristics of a DC motor, right? So let us consider this for as a firing angle alpha is equal to 0. Now for some reasons I want to decrease the speed. So for that I have to increase the firing angle. So if I increase the firing angle, what happens is our rectifier average output voltage will decrease. Therefore the armature voltage of the motor decreases. Therefore the speed decreases. Okay. So the speed is decreased now. So let me consider that alpha is increased from say like 0 degrees to 60 degrees. And still I am increasing my firing angle to 90 degrees. So the speed decreases and still. Okay, the firing angle is 120 degrees. And in semi-converter, the value of firing angle may be less than maybe less than 90 degree or maybe greater than 90 degree. The operation will fall in first quadrant only. Okay, which we have saw in detail in our single phase semi-converter fed DC motor. Okay, if you need more details about this, you can refer the lecture session about the single phase semi-converter fed DC motor drive. Okay, in that I have clearly explained how when the firing angle is greater than 90 degree and even less than 90 degree, it comes into the first quadrant of operation only. But whereas our three-phase fully controlled rectifier gives the operation in two quadrants, which is in first quadrant and in fourth quadrant. So that also we have discussed in our previous session 15. Okay, so that is all about today's session. So finally we have completed our rectifier controlled DC drives, in which we have first discussed about single phase fully controlled rectifier fed DC drive and the single phase semi converter fed DC drive and three phase fully controlled rectifier fed DC drive and the three phase semi converter fed DC drive. So out of which single phase fully controlled rectifier and three phase fully controlled rectifier gave the operations in two quadrants, which is first quadrant and the fourth quadrant. That means forward motoring and reverse regenerative braking. Whereas our single phase semi converter and three phase semi converter provides the operation only in the first quadrant, which is of forward motoring. So that is all about today's session. Thank you.